And now, from PAX TV Studio 611, your host, Richard Thomas.
Good evening, and welcome to a brand new season of It's a Miracle. You may have already noticed a few changes around here, but what hasn't changed are the inspirational and emotional real-life stories you're about to see. And I don't think anything could be more emotional than our first story. It puts a young child in an unbelievably life-threatening situation, and her mother in a desperate race to save her life. The morning of March 30th, 1999 started out like any other for the Tafoya household.
Okay guys, get ready to go. It's time for school. You guys done with your breakfast?
Judy and Lincoln Tafoya and their nanny Angel were getting 6 young children off to school.
We had just gotten back from Arizona from a business trip, so we got up in the morning and Angel was getting them all dressed and fed and ready to go.
Judy was transmitting new credit card orders for the family pottery business, while Lincoln and Angel herded everyone out the door.
So I take them to school or sometimes to the bus stop, but this time I was running late, so I had to take them all the way to school. And I said, well, load up, everybody load up.
In the confusion that followed, only Angel noticed 3-year-old Chelsea heading out the front door behind the other children.
Cha-Cha, where are you going? I said, where are you going? And she said, I'm going with my dad. He's going to take me to school. And I said, okay, honey.
Outside, as Lincoln climbed into his truck and started the engine, Chelsea ran to catch up. And when she couldn't, the little girl made a terrible mistake. As Lincoln sped off, a neighbor spotted Chelsea on the back bumper. Wait! He took off after Lincoln on foot, but the car was going too fast.
I was sitting there at the machine and I was punching in some numbers.
Judy! Judy!
And he told me, did you know that one of the babies is hanging on the back of the car?
I heard her say, oh yeah, she probably went with her dad and the kids are all going to school. And he goes, no. He goes, you don't understand. Not in the car, outside the car.
I left my daughter alone. I gotta go.
Okay, Angel! Angel!
My stomach went up into my throat and I was like yelling and telling her, get on the phone and call 911 or call somebody.
Judy rushed outside to their other car to chase after Lincoln, while Angel went to the phone. But there was a problem.
I went to go use the phone and the phone line was dead.
What Angel didn't know was that the phone line was tied up by the credit card machine and could not dial out. Outside, Judy tried to start the car, but the engine refused to turn over.
I didn't know what to do and I was going crazy. I didn't know how to tell Judy that I couldn't get through because I didn't know what was going on.
Meanwhile, Lincoln was racing towards school trying to beat the clock, unaware of his baby daughter clinging to the rear bumper for her life. It was at that moment that Connie Romero first spotted Chelsea. She was driving to work and pulled onto the road behind the Tafoya's truck.
I just saw this image in the back on the bumper. And something just kept drawing my attention to that image. And I kept thinking to myself, well, it's probably a spare. And then as I got closer, I could see that it was a little figure. My first thought was, geez, who would play such a cruel joke on somebody, because April Fool's Day was like the next day.
But as she sped up to get a closer look, Connie realized that what she was seeing was not a joke.
And as I started to gain on the traffic, again I looked at that image and it looked so real. And as I saw the hair blowing, that's when I realized that it was a child on the back bumper.
Her adrenaline pumping, Connie began urgently flashing her lights and honking her horn to get the driver's attention.
I noticed this lady behind me and she kind of, freaked me out a little bit. You see a lot of road rage when you travel a lot.
Lincoln veered around a horseshoe curve, hoping to lose the driver behind him.
I'm looking back there to see if that lady's still coming up. I noticed that she's coming up pretty fast, so I'm going, I said, oh, what's going on here? What did I do? Did I do something wrong?
I got even closer to the vehicle. That's when she turned around and looked at me. The first thought that went through my mind was, this is a little kid that's gonna fall off the bumper. If I get too close and she should fall off, she's gonna come through my windshield. If she falls off and she rolls, I'm gonna run right over her.
Luckily, Connie Romero's cell phone is in the car, and she manages to contact the local police and alert them to the desperate situation. Meanwhile, Judy Tafoya tries desperately to start her car, but the engine refuses to turn over.
Come on, start.
With every passing minute, the chances of saving her daughter grow slimmer and slimmer.
I ran back in and I said, I'm going to see if I could get one of the neighbors to run after them. I ran to like 3 houses and knocked on the doors. And nobody will answer. And then I ran back down and I kicked over the Suburban. It finally started.
With terrifying images racing through her mind, Judy frantically scanned the sides of the road for Chelsea.
I was saying, Lord, if I have any chips up there, I'm cashing them in. I specifically told him I don't even want a hair on her head hurt. But my mind was telling me, be logical. That's a really heavy traffic road.
Back on Los Alamos Highway, at speeds up to 70 miles per hour, Connie was still trying desperately to get Lincoln to pull over.
My adrenaline was just going so high that the only thing I could think of was get the attention of the driver, see if you can pull him over before she either lets go or she falls off.
In a bold effort to put an end to this highly dangerous situation, Connie pulled a daredevil stunt.
He was getting ready to pass a vehicle, and I sped up and stayed right even with him so that he didn't have the opportunity to get in the passing lane. He finally looked at me, and when he looked at me, I made the sign for him to pull over.
And she pulled up in front of me, and she jumps out, and she says, there's a kid behind your car. And I look at her, yeah, all right.
Little girl hanging out on the back end of your bumper.
We looked in the back of the vehicle, there was no kid.
It's there, oh my God.
I was shaking so bad, I just couldn't figure out where we had lost her because I had followed him for so many miles.
Suddenly, little Chelsea appeared from around the front of the truck.
Sweetie, are you okay?
You okay?
Her dad looked at her, and his expression on his face was just, he was in total shock.
Thank God she didn't fall off.
When I realized, I could have lost her, my heart just like ready to pop,
Moments later, Judy spotted the cars on the side of the road.
You okay? She didn't fall off.
I felt her little body, and she had been on that car for quite a while. The cold was like inside her bones, but she had not a scrape on her, not a hair was moved, and I just thanked the Lord.
Later, Judy asked Chelsea what was going through her mind when she climbed on the back of her dad's truck that morning.
My daddy was taking the kids to school and I wanted to go.
For everyone, Chelsea's survival was nothing short of a miracle.
It had to be a miracle for a little kid like that to hang on, going that fast and hitting that many bumps. It had to be a miracle.
And to the Tafoyas, Connie Romero will always be a part of that miracle.
Connie Romero, she's a godsend, because I don't think anybody else would have stuck with us.
Right past where they stopped, there's about 3 dips in the road that are really bad, really bad. And I know if they would have hit that she wouldn't have hung on.
Being a mother myself, I can't even imagine what Judy went through that morning. It was a really good feeling to know that I had saved a life of a child.